Good morning, this is 4046 and welcome to my channel. Today's video is about tangents. I am one of the population which, to cover giving out information, I will have tangents. You've no doubt noticed this on many of my videos. For example, if I was talking about the works of Stephen King, I would possibly bring up The Shining, and then that would segue into the Stanley Kubrick adaptation of The Shining, which is very, very good. It's close to the book, but there's undertones in the book that the film can't touch. And basically, this film being an 18 certificate at the time and probably rated R for mature in the States, is something that obviously could not be covered, and that's just an example of a tangent, really. As you've noticed, to give out information, I sometimes like to bring a bit more context on said information, but that context can come out in a roundabout way. It'll eventually get there, but in a roundabout kind of way. Anyway, I should imagine that a lot of you have your own ways of giving out information, and I think that's the way my mind works. I've always often been described as a mind shower, because I don't like to call them that these days. What they used to call them. So it would have been like just imagine a whiteboard and a cloud. You see roughly where I'm going, and then you basically put my name in the middle of the cloud, and then out of every single bit of that cloud comes out various different ideas. So I can always never be short of content. The biggest problem is I have to concentrate on content and make it better. I have had a little bit of an absence of late because I've basically been resting, as the last 6 weeks I've been working a lot of the time, so it doesn't give me as much focus to do videos. That's not to say I haven't thought about it, but I'm truly rested enough to actually do one for you today. I was going to talk about Series 4 Babylon 5, as I've recently concluded that. Again, a tangent. I would possibly have a tangent counter. Maybe another time I may do so. But also, I've also been thinking about, I suppose, mentally resting. Now, that does sound like a very strange thing, and again we're on a tangent land, but that's exactly as the title of this indicates, that basically where I was concentrating on so much work and not worrying so much about the troubles at the moment, because that's what I am going to call the strike action, because it just seems endless, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I think that I just needed a rest for a while, so hence the reason why this video's taken quite a while to come out. I've been watching other creators, as I do always, just to see how they do things, and there's some very good creators out there, as you already know. I know this, you know this, most people know this. Some of it is just easier to do, not to think about. I must admit, there's a particular creator in ASMR who, for some reason, I don't know why, but just seems to concentrate on his voice, and you just get lost in it. And I started off with a French whisperer, who you may no doubt know of, not endorsed in any way by the French whisperer, He has a great voice, but the only problem is you never reach the end of his bits, because by the end of it, which was an intention anyway, you fall asleep. It's just that that French accent really sort of gives you, well, sends you down the river. The same can be said for the one that I particularly like. I don't like all his videos, but it's just a way in which he says things and lists things in his videos, because he is a very good creator. His name's Lloyd. You may have encountered him, you may not have done. He tries to give, apart from the MRE videos, which is meal ready to eat, does a piece where he's, like, for example, in a diner, or he's a butler, or he's working in a soup shop, all that sort of thing really, and then talking about suggestions as the business owner. And most of the time he's I don't know why, but his voice does basically work very well. There's certain things that he's done which don't work so well, but he's admitted that there's certain things he wouldn't do again because the cost, because ASMR is a very, very expensive thing to set up for, and as much as I'd like to do that, I've got to get editing right before I can do anything like that. So editing's roughly about 6 to 7 weeks away, so and not far off now. The countdown is continuing. As this is tangents and there's no particular subject, I am unfortunately afflicted with the war games side of things. So I've been concentrating that a little bit more over this weekend, because I have, as a lot of us in the wargaming have, as a pile of shame. So I'm trying to reduce that massive pile of shame. I may do a video another time where I talk about which forces I do. Once upon a time you could do every single force, because it was not cheap, but it wasn't ultra expensive. Unfortunately, against the rate of inflation, and even though the rate of inflation in this country is an all-time high, they've gone up against the rate of inflation. A model that was, I know this is not a great thing, but a model that was £6 in 1995 is now £40. It's absurd in a way. And once upon a time, where like a metal model was, if I recall, for just basic infantry with a special weapon, about £4. Now in plastic, you're paying £6 to £7 for that model. But you can't get the model on its own. It comes in an entire squad, because you get in this. Most of the things are made out of resin, plastic, and a very minute amount these days are made out of metal, because metal isn't a cost-effective way of doing this. And resin's just not very nice to work with. I can account for that, where I was sawing up resin with a hacksaw, and I was doing it outside with a face mask, because the problem is resin has carcinogenic properties, or some of it does at least, and it probably isn't very good in your body. But I digress. But yes, that will be something for another video, like a showcase, possibly when I get editing software and things like that. So possibly give a lore. The main sort of draw of Warhammer 40,000 is the lore. They've got 30 years worth of lore. Unfortunately, in the last 5 to 6, they keep retconning things, which isn't so good. The basic story stayed the same for about 20 odd years, and in the last few years it's started going exactly what I'm talking about, tangents. It's going off the spire to somewhere else. There is another one I'd like to make about books, about some of the writers I like, and show that you actual representations of those writers. Um, there is science fiction lists, if you like science fiction, out there which talk about seminal books that are, if you want to get to know science fiction, they're very good. Like, for example, do Android's Dream of Electric Sheep, which is the precursor to Blade Runner. So if you like Blade Runner, Do Android's Dream of Electric Sheep was the inspiration for it. So if you've never seen it, which I'm sure most of you have, give it an attempt. It's not so thought-provoking as certain other seminal books. There is obviously the works of Arthur C. Clarke, who unfortunately is dubious, and I'll leave it at dubious. His lifestyle was not one that I would recommend. Before he moved to Sri Lanka, and I'm not going to make myself liable here for anything, so I will not make any suggestions, but I would believe he is a dubious man. His science fiction works were very good. You had, for example, 2001: The Space Odyssey, which again became a Stanley Kubrick film, which a lot of people don't like, but you come out of it on the first time you view it with questions, more questions than answers. It was revolutionary in some of the techniques of filming at the time when it came out in 1968. So it's just something to bear in mind, really. Also, Rendezvous with Rama, which they've never done anything close. I only read Rendezvous with Rama in the last couple of years. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty good. I've not read the two follow-ups because they're not in the same spirit or vein. I may read the second one, but the main one I want to read at the moment is The Tomorrow War. I can't actually recall the writer's name at this moment in time. But there's a film with love him or dislike him, Tom Cruise, where they're in this war with sort of mech type things, and it keeps resetting, but every time it resets they remember what happened last time, so eventually get to a point where they actually win said war. Very interesting set of ideas. I don't think he's the best actor. Some people think he's a great actor. He's okay. He's okay. I don't think he's not everybody's cup of tea. I mean, in Valkyrie he was very good. I think yes, there are some dodgy accents in there. I agree, but as a film made about von Stauffenberg, as reasonable. I've actually seen the remains of von Stauffenberg's hut and the Walls layer. I have actually been there. Very interesting. I think the best thing there was the little green frog that I saw, but it's not often that you get a guided tour and the chance to see something that they tried to cover up existed. It's the closest thing that you're going to see to a sort of decommissioned secret base, where a lot of the stuff is still there, but most of it's in ruin. Hopefully the people of Poland can at least lampoon it a bit more and use it in an educational way to see the follies of becoming a megalomaniac, I suppose. Again, a tangent. I do like my tangents. That is just the way my mind works. I'm pretty sure there are some of you that understand. there are tons of ideas always going on around my mind. Sometimes I'll focus on something for a little while, but often it'll be superseded by something else. But please like and subscribe. I would like to increase my viewer base, and with some discussions with a few of my subscribers, it's given me some ideas. So in the not too distant future my content will improve and get better, but I think a suitable feature for this is definitely tangents. Anyway, please like and subscribe. This is 40